Hello and welcome back to Talk NBA Sports Podcast. This is your host, Key. Joining me is Andy. We are returning after a long hiatus. We hope you show us some love in the comment section down below. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and the bell icon. We hope to be back for you guys. This is our first episode in about 2 months. Andy, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Just, you know, a bit tired. Um, Getting back into it. The NBA season's coming back very soon. Watching a lot of preseason games. So very much looking forward to this new NBA season that is starting very soon.
Yeah, no, I can't say I've been paying attention to preseason all that much outside of the Lakers. We've had some injuries preseason, just to name a few. Taylor
Nine
Horton
turnovers.
Tucker.
Nine turnovers, right?
Yeah, no, there's a lot of things going on with the Lakers. Starting with, I wanted to just hit on the injuries. Ariza and Taylor Horton Tucker opted for injury. Monk is out. Kendrick Nunn is out. Ellington, LeBron, Westbrook, Davis. They are playing, but yeah, no, we're just dealing with a lot of injuries. But in my opinion, it's better now than late. Get it out the way.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's better now that you get injuries out of the way, and then hopefully they can stay healthy throughout the rest of the season whenever they do come back, and then just get geared up for the playoffs.
Yeah. But you gotta get through the regular season. So that's why I said like injuries, you gotta take care of your body. How's your Warriors doing though? I mean, you hope to see Clay back in October 19th when we officially begin the NBA season.
Personally, I would love for Clay to be in not in maybe not a starting role yet on October 19th, but the idea for the Warriors right now is for him to come back around December, hopefully around the Christmas game that we're scheduled to have. So hopefully around that time we can see Clay Thompson back on the court for us. I doubt that it's going to be on a starting role, and I say this mainly because he's coming back from a 2-year injury, torn ACL. And for those of you who have been paying attention to NBA preseason, Jordan Poole has been scoring like crazy during the preseason. So he is going to be starting. He's going to be a starting shooting guard for the first game and for the foreseeable future until Clay does get back. And Steve Kerr features him on the starting lineup. So I am pretty much looking forward to Jordan Poole and eventually Clay Thompson coming back to us around December.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Clay back. No, it's been a long time. The game's better when your superstars are healthy, and as soon as we get him back, that's it's the better. And especially since we play you guys on October 19th, I was hoping we can see a couple of minutes from him, but it doesn't seem likely.
Yeah.
Um, but take your time. I think that it doesn't really matter, especially in the beginning of the season. No one's like no one's playing for every single game. Win
No one's
some, you
going
lose some.
off. Yeah, no one's going off in the beginning of the season. They're just,
Yeah, yeah,
there's rookies on mainly every team. I know for the Warriors, at least, we have two new rookies, Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody. I know you have a couple of rookies on your team as well, Matthew McClung, and a couple of other rookies, I believe. Right. So it's just about like getting the feel of the game, just getting to know each other, getting that vibe on the court, which is mainly what the start of the season is all about. So just looking forward to that. And then, hopefully we'll get the groove on and get everyone back together, my team, your team, and then, looking forward to the playoffs.
yeah. No, we can't. Regular season's going to be a trip. Playoffs is also going to be a trip. But just I want to remind everybody that this is an NBA show, but we are gearing our focus to just these two teams because we want to start off somewhere, and these are the two teams that we really pay attention to. I mean, before really I started thinking of doing a podcast, I didn't watch any other games, any other teams' games unless they were playing the Lakers. I know you watched other teams' games, but I wasn't really into like I was gearing just focusing on my team, but this has forced us to branch out, but we want to bring it back a bit especially because we need to take into consideration that we are all busy, but we still want to bring you good content, and we
Right.
can't do that if we're so spread out. So yeah, from now on, we will still do news and reports of all the NBA teams out there, but gearing more towards these two teams. With that being said, though, we got to get into some news, some general news. Kyrie, his stance on the vaccine, he seems adamant on being out, and everyone is aware of that. It's playing out right before our eyes. Um, how much does this impact the Nets lineup? Whether it be regular season, I mean, we can definitely get into playoffs, but for purely regular season, how much does it impact their lineup?
I honestly don't see it impacting their lineup a lot. That's just me personally. Main reason I say that is because looking at the Brooklyn Nets depth chart right now, their starting lineup would be as follows. At the point guard, it'd be James Harden. At the shooting guard, it'd be Joe Harris. Then you have Bruce Brown playing the three, KD playing the four, and LaMarcus Aldridge, who just came out of retirement. Thankfully, his medical issues were not that serious, and he's able to come back. Hopefully, he can stay healthy as well. But that is the starting lineup, and then obviously they were able to pick up Patty Mills, right, from the Spurs. Well, not from the Spurs, but he was a free agent, so they were able to pick him up. They have Joe Harris, who can play the two and the three. Then you have Javon Carter, Cam Thomas, um, Marcus Zagorowski, Dayron Sharp. You have a bunch of players that can play from 1 to 3. Then obviously you have players like Blake Griffin, James Johnson, and then the recently added Paul Millsap as well. So I'm pretty sure that this lineup is not taking a big hit with Kyrie being out. Obviously, you would like to see Kyrie in the lineup, which would then change it. Joe Harris would be coming off the bench, and Kyrie would be playing two because they're going to be playing Harden at the one, even if Kyrie is in the lineup or not. So personally, I don't see this being a like the Nets taking a big hit. I think it could be like maybe a blessing in disguise because when you think about it, Kyrie brings a lot of drama to whatever team he's on. He brought drama when he was on the Cavs toward the end of his stint with the Cavs. He brought drama when he was with the Celtics, and he brought drama with the Nets. So him being out of the lineup, I think it could be a blessing in disguise for the Nets.
I agree. It's one of those things where you don't get this opportunity for sitting benching a superstar out, and now you get to play around a little bit. Maybe you improve that defense that was a thorn on your back last year. Maybe you get people minutes that you wouldn't usually give minutes to a degree. You can, I mean, listen, like Harden can slide into any guard position out there, whether you want to play if Joe Harris, if he's comfortable playing shooting guard. If not, then you put him at the three. You can have James Harden slide at the 1 or 2. Patty Mills can go in there as well. Kevin Durant will stay in his. I mean, I don't know. I don't think Kevin Durant wants to leave the 4 position. I mean, I think he's comfortable there, especially in the East. And then your center. I mean, you can go small, big. Blake Griffin, LaMarcus Aldridge there. So yeah, they have a plethora of things they can do. I would just say to Nets fans, I know the media and everything. What's going on. Just take a deep breath, relax. And NBA fans, just generally out there, I say just relax, especially just for the regular season. Just I mean, no, they always say basketball doesn't begin until after the Christmas game. So
Well, I
before,
mean, I think basketball, like real basketball, starts after the All Star break.
yeah, either or. I mean, what
Yeah,
I'm trying to say is, the first half is not something that's like you have to
yeah,
scrutinize
it's not
every
as
single
deep
game.
as the second half.
Yeah, exactly. So, just in general, just relax. You have depth in. I'd say the only depth that you're lacking is shooting guard. Um, But even then, you have guys who can slide in. It's not a problem. Um,
Right.
so yeah, you're good. It's just you just have to deal with this whole Kyrie situation. And my general stance on that is, listen, I mean, if directly talking to Kyrie, like you I get it, you don't want to take the vaccine. There's a lot of players who did not want to take the vaccine, but they had to because they weren't in a position to lose their check. Kyrie he can be in a position to lose his check and he'll still be plenty wealthy. Um,
Yeah.
and but this whole excuse, like, you have to do your research, and come on, man, you had 2 years to do your research. It's not about that. It's just that you don't want to take this. You don't want to take this shot. So, well, all I'm trying to say is just mitigate this whole narrative. Um, Try to be back because I mean, this team goes from blowing teams out by 30, and when you're here, they can blow teams out by 40. Like in the East, they're not. I'm not worried about them. It's just when it comes to the playoff picture, that's when I get worried.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, that's really it. Like, I mean, in regular season, just everyone relax. But in terms of like, well, because the reason I say playoffs is because in the playoffs it becomes a half court game. Every move is scrutinized, and you have to get every little thing right. So where do you see this team without Kyrie in the playoffs?
I honestly, I think he isn't the type of player who is going to affect the outcome of a game. A series, yes, but a game, I don't think so. I think you have the Nets are talented enough without Kyrie to win a game without him, right? They have James Harden, one of the greatest scorers in the NBA today and in NBA history, possibly. And then you have KD, who is just a gifted scorer in any sense of the word, right? In any sense of basketball. So I think it's he can score from wherever, whether it be a pull up from two, from the mid range, whether it be a pull up from three. He's done it. He's done it before. He's done it when he was with us against the Cavs. So I think if it comes down to a game seven type thing in the East against I in the East, I think there's only one team that the Nets have to be worried about, and I think you'll
Who's
agree
that?
with me when I say it's the Bucks. I don't see the Celtics being a threat.
I don't agree.
I don't see the Sixers being a threat. The Raptors are nowhere near contention anymore. The Heat are not going to be a threat.
I don't.
I don't think there's any other teams. I mean, if you want to say the Hawks, okay,
No,
but
that's what I'm not saying. The Hawks.
I really can't think of any other team in the East right now. The Bulls, I they're in my opinion they could make the playoffs as like an eighth, seventh seed, but I don't see any other team in the East that can challenge the Nets as the Bucks can. Now you said you disagree, so what team do you think?
I
Like,
mean, don't
oh,
get me. Listen, Bucks fans, don't get me wrong. I don't listen. I wanted the Bucks out of more than anyone. If my Lakers were not in it last year, and they weren't, I wanted the Bucks to win the championship because Giannis deserved it. Or blah 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 blah. I feel like you got to say that because they're very sensitive. Um,
okay.
Bucks fans are very sensitive, but people are not realizing the impact that the loss of PJ Tucker. It takes away their ability to go small, um, and that's a big thing in today's NBA, especially since the Nets can go small. So I don't necessarily think the Bucks are the biggest. I'm sure I'll be wrong eventually. Whether I'll be wrong or right, we'll see. But right now, I don't see the Bucks being the biggest threat to the Nets.
So who would be the biggest threat to the Nets, right?
Okay, so let's go through it. New York is definitely in the middle of the pack.
Wait, did you say New York?
No. Calm down, calm down. I said I'm going through the teams.
Okay,
So
okay.
so New York is going to be the middle of the pack. They're not a threat to anybody, but they shouldn't be looked down as low as a lowly Knicks team.
Uh-huh.
Um, because they have improved what a lot, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
The Bucks are definitely up there, but as of right now, I do see the Heat as a pretty big threat.
My
Um,
goodness.
just because I feel like the woes of last year weren't really who their culture were. You get what I'm saying? I don't feel like last year's Heat is a good representation of what the Heat are. Um, they're one of those teams who were in the bubble for a while. They had injuries and they just couldn't come back to full 100%. So I'm excited to see what this Heat organization has in store for us at 100%. As of right now, I'm not going to say who is the biggest threat. I'm also not going to point out the Bucks because I have a lot of worries there. I'm just saying the Heat can definitely be up there, maybe the second biggest threat, if not the first biggest threat. I also want to point out that there's a lot of up and coming teams. You name the Bulls, right? No way a threat, but I'm saying when you look at the playoff picture, you can't just put everybody in the middle of the pack, right? They have to be in some pecking order, and the Bulls are in prime position to make a run, maybe the fourth seed. It depends on where you put the Knicks. We call it the Leastern Conference because it is the Leastern Conference. It has always been the Leastern Conference. You can take nights off and you could still win a series. Well, in the West, it becomes extremely hard, and playoff picture matters a lot more. So what I'm really trying to say is like just watch out. I'm not gonna just make a prediction. I don't see the Bucks as the biggest threat though. They're definitely not. I think again, PJ Tucker going out, they lose their ability to go small, and I think that's a big part of today's NBA, especially when your opponents can run small and they can impact the game. Now, with this recent coaching situation going on where they take away fouls, if the person with who's handling the ball initiates contact, I think that's also a big impact to going small because I feel like a big aspect of going small was getting the foul calls and making your way into the penetrating the defense. But again, long story short, I don't have anybody as a clear cut threat to them.
Mm. The reason why I say that the Heat are not, in my eyes, they're a threat. You can't count the Heat out, right? You just can't. I just don't see them as a big, big threat. And the reason why I want to say that is because Jimmy Butler has not been the same ever since that series against the Lakers, right? That whole playoffs in the bubble for Jimmy Butler was just amazing, and no one can take that away from him, right? He did a lot for that Heat team. But since then, in my eyes, he's fallen off. He got kicked out, I believe, the first round this year against the Bucks, right? I think it was like 5 games, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
right, 5 games. Where was he then? Tyler Hero was a no-show,
No, I completely understand that.
right?
I completely agree with where you're coming from. The only reason I said the Heat was I just don't believe this narrative that what we saw in the bubble was a fluke. I don't believe that. I think the organization and Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra, they're better than that. I don't think a fluke is something they want to be associated with.
Right.
I think their culture is a wonderful culture. It's a very stern culture, and the fans love it. I mean, but the point I'm trying to make is I'm not trying to make them a threat, and I'm not. In no way am I saying they are the threat. I'm just saying this is going to be a very very interesting conference. I mean, everyone seems to forget that Charlotte was just a couple of games from really being in contention for a major uh, spot in the playoffs, right? So you have a lot of up and coming teams. Atlanta, as much as I want to count them out because I'm not the biggest fan of Trey Young, um, and the way he plays initiating contact. We'll see how his game changes, and if he has that vet mindset to change his game. Um,
Him, a vet? Huh.
Well, I mean, you can't. As much as we want him to just play like a rookie and scrutinize him for every little thing he does, he is a pretty skilled player. You can't doubt that. Um, but at the same time, like you can't also count out the Hawks. So what I'm really trying to say is just watch out. This East is in no way am I saying that the Nets should be worried. I'm exactly saying the opposite. They shouldn't be worried. I think they're the team with the most depth in the entire East. It's not like the West where every single team can combat you in any way.
Right.
Um, but yeah, no, the Nets are in a great position that no one should be worried about them. But I'm also just saying, watch out. This is going to be a very exciting Eastern Conference.
I think so. And just before we pull away from the Nets, because we're still sticking in the East. But before we pull away from the Nets, I have here a list, and just want to go over it real quick of the projected seeds. Doesn't have like wins and losses, just from top to bottom, from 1 to 15 for the East, like who's
Yeah,
first
just a
all the way to
prediction.
15, right? So not my list. Just want to put it out there, but so the first seed in the East will be the Bucks. The second will be the Nets. The third, just like you said, even though you're not claiming them or have claimed them as a threat or the biggest threat, the Heat. Fourth seed will be the Hawks. Fifth seed, the Sixers, which is not a surprise there. The sixth seed, the Celtics. The seventh seed, the Knicks. Eighth seed, the Pacers. The ninth seed will be the Bulls. The 10th seed will be the Raptors. 11, the Wizards. 12, the Hornets. 13, the Cavs. 14, the Pistons. And 15, the Magic. Is there anything there that you would change?
Wow, I change a lot. First of all,
So what else?
yeah. Do you want to take this first, or should I go?
I'll take it first since I'm
Go
talking.
ahead. Go ahead. I'm sure you have a lot to say.
Yeah. First off, the Sixers.
I was just gonna say that. I was just gonna say that.
The Sixers are way too high on this list, in my opinion. I don't know if that's your opinion too. They are. I don't see them above the Celtics, especially without Ben Simmons, who
I don't see them above the Knicks.
I don't see them above the Knicks either. And if maybe I'm pulling this, I'm going a bit too far. I don't see them above the Bulls.
Maybe a little too far, but I wouldn't crucify you for that.
I would not see them above the Bulls. Why? Because the Bulls actually they got Lonzo Ball, they have Zach LaVine, they got DeMar DeRozan, and they have Nikola Vucevic, right?
Yeah, yeah.
They have potentially four All-Star players, right? Maybe
Okay, yeah.
maybe
Maybe
the
three.
Lonzo Ball,
Yeah.
who maybe won't be an All-Star this year, but if he improves and improves, I can see him becoming an All-Star sooner rather than later. But with a team without Ben Simmons, like the Sixers, they if we're, look, this is their depth chart right now. At the moment, they would either have to start Steph Curry at the one or Tyrese Maxey at the one, or maybe Shake Milton. Then you have Steph Curry at the two. You have Danny Green at the three, Tobias Harris at the four, and then Joel Embiid at the five. You still have they found a way to keep Andre Drummond, and then literally the rest of their team is like a bunch of nobodies, with the exception of maybe Matisse Thybulle.
Yeah.
I mean, you have Georges Niang, Furkan Korkmaz, Jaden Springer, Paul Reed, Lamar Peters, Grant Riller. Like
In a nutshell, no impact.
like who in God's name are these people? Like either they're rookies or like we just haven't heard of them, or like they've been in the G League, something like that. But without Ben Simmons, you literally have nobody. And even if Ben Simmons does come back, that team is already fractured, right? He decided to pull off this stunt of his. He tried to pull a James Harden, and it just didn't work out for him. He took a huge U-turn, but we'll get into that, later on. I just don't see this team above the Bulls or like the Knicks, the Celtics.
Is that your only gripe though with the entire thing? Just to where Philly's
Um,
position, or
no, I don't think the Bulls should be the 9th seed. I don't think
I don't think Charlotte should be the 12th seed.
I don't think Charlotte should be the 12th seed. I think that they, boggled this whole
Yeah,
stand.
wait, whose list is this? I hope it's not official.
I have no idea. This is a IB Times list.
Okay, so you're just getting a general just a heat
Yeah,
check from the fans.
yeah.
Okay.
If we're looking at like,
No, I mean let's stick to that list. I mean, okay,
yeah,
I'll go. God, in God's name, come on now. The Philly, are you serious? We've I think the code has been cracked on that team. The process and the entire mystery shrouded in the process. I think everybody has cracked that code. It's you foul them until they can't shoot free throws anymore. It's not that hard. Like, ladies and gentlemen, I don't understand why they're so high up there. Another gripe is why isn't New York higher than them? Why isn't Charlotte in a higher position? There's a lot of things that I can say, but um,
oh, and one other thing that I would like to say, sorry to cut you off. The Raptors should not be as 10th seed.
where do you see them?
I see them maybe in like 11, 12. They lost Kyle Lowry,
Okay,
right? And yes, they got a top 4 pick. They drafted who's this kid? As the 4th seed.
Scotty Barnes.
Yeah, Scotty Barnes. They
He's been
drafted.
looking good
He
preseason.
has been looking good, but I don't see him being able to. I'm not putting any pressure
Yeah,
on him.
you're not seeing him wheeling the franchise into a different outlook.
No, not
Yeah, I
yet.
get
And
what you're
Pascal
saying.
Siakam has been on a downside.
Yeah, I mean, that's another sleeper for me. I want him to improve. But yeah, I completely agree with you. There's a lot of things I would change, and there's a lot of things that I wouldn't change. One being that obviously Philly needs this. Whoever put Philly up there, it's probably a Philly fan that put them up themselves up there. Yeah, you need to stop this. We'll touch on Ben Simmons in a bit, but whether he comes back or not, I mean, what does that actually change though?
Right.
Without him, you don't get like this weakness of foul calling, and with him, you get great defense, which is great, but this isn't the 1970s. Defense can't win you everything. You got to be fast paced. You got to be able to score the ball, and you got to put the ball in position with other players to let them score the ball. So where you take this is I don't I don't see how Philly continues to whatever success they wanted or wanted to attain. I don't see them attaining it. I have another gripe is Charlotte shouldn't be that low. I mean, they were a couple of spots. Sorry, they were a couple of spots away from being in the playoffs. They were in the playing games. The Bulls, Knicks should be whoever made this list. I mean, they clearly weren't watching the Knicks, and they got Kemba Walker. And Kemba Walker didn't have a big impact on the Celtics, but that's because his position they didn't need his position at the moment. I mean, when like an attack guard, they have Smart. I mean, they have the pieces, and he wasn't really his impact wasn't necessarily needed. Now on the Knicks though, his impact is needed. You need someone to score the ball. Like with what we saw on the playoffs, like they need that help scoring. So we'll see where this goes, and we'll see where the standings go. But I have hope for a lot of teams, and I don't have hope for others. So they definitely got the Wizards part right. I think this is one of the years where the Wizards stink it up again, and
I don't think that the Wizards are an 11th seed.
they're not an 11 seed, but they're definitely not in the playoffs.
No, I'm just saying like the Wizards are too high.
Yeah.
They should be at least be like 12, 13 seed.
Oh, you want them below. You want them low.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, a team, maybe I'm being a bit too harsh, but I mean, they have Spencer Dinwiddie, but he's had injury history. He's injury prone. Then you have Bradley Beal, who I feel like
He needs to leave.
he at this point he needs to realize that staying loyal is a good thing at times, but not always, right?
Yeah.
Especially like you've been with the Wizards your entire career. You've had great teammates. You had John Wall, you had Russell Westbrook last season, and Russell Westbrook also came out and said that he tried to convince Bradley Beal to leave with him to request out.
Yeah, you should have.
He should have followed Westbrook's lead, which he refused to do for God knows what reason. I just don't.
It's one of
I
those
just
players.
don't. Yeah, if he, and I'm putting this out there, if he decides to re-sign with the Wizards, he would have just committed the biggest mistake of his career.
I mean,
The-
that doesn't say he can't request a trade out, but I completely agree.
yeah,
It's
it
time.
doesn't say, but that just means that the Wizards can play their cards to whatever they want to play it to,
Absolutely.
right? They don't have to trade him. He has no leverage. Playing the "I've been loyal" card is not getting you anywhere,
Yeah. It
right?
didn't get what's his face anywhere. Damian Lillard
Yeah,
this
like
offseason.
he stayed loyal. He supposedly requested out. He hasn't confirmed it. No one has confirmed it. But
I'm sure
it's
he
not
didn't
gonna.
want to. I'm sure he didn't want to put it out there, but I do believe the reports that he did initially want out.
I feel like he
I
did
mean,
one out.
we made a whole video about it. Go check
Yeah,
it out, by the way.
yeah. Yeah. So if Bradley Beal does resign for a max contract, money is great and all, but it is not gonna be worth it at the end of the day if you are not. Ultimately, the goal in the NBA is to compete for a championship, and you are not doing that by staying with the Wizards at all.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, no, I mean, listen, Bradley Beal, come on, give us the content, give the people the content, and give yourself the satisfaction of leaving. We'll do a lot of trade videos if you request a trade, and if you don't, it's just going to be depressing for everyone, including yourself. So
Yeah, I
this,
mean,
I mean, yeah, I guess I don't mean to cut you off, but I guess what he's doing is he's I guess this is one of his last like, okay, we'll give the benefit of the doubt. At least that's what I believe. No person is that like loyal to a team in terms of detriment to themselves. Like you, whatever is going on, if you this is a feel out year for you, feel it out. Go ahead. You're not going to get anywhere with this team. So
no matter how hard you pray and you wish, that team is just not. You had a saving grace last year by making it to the playoffs, and that was all because of Westbrook, right?
wow, that's a lot of praise coming from you.
I know, because I don't like Westbrook at all. I respect him
Yeah.
as an athlete. I just don't like the dude. Okay,
Yeah, no, I agree.
that's neither here or there. The Wizards, they had a saving grace, and that was Westbrook last season. He had another, outstanding season, triple double season. Not MVP worthy. Don't get me wrong. I'm not
No,
taking it.
I don't think anyone wanted him
Yeah, I'm
or
not taking
wanted
it
him.
too
So
far. He's
yeah.
not worthy of the MVP at all. But now that he's out, you're projected as 11th, 12th seed.
And again, this is not an official list, but if the fans think he's an 11th seed, then that's pretty depressing.
Not just that, but like once ESPN comes out with their own list, and I'm pretty sure that they will,
Yeah.
they're going to be updating their list, every now and then. So unless some miracle happens with the Wizards that they're balling out and that Bradley Beal's going bananas, they are not making the playoffs this year. And I don't know what it's going to take for Bradley Beal to realize that it's just not happening with Washington. It's been like what? He's been in the league for like 7, 8, 9 years, maybe.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like 9 years in the making, kind of. Getting drafted to a team like the Wizards, you were never gonna win anything from the start.
Yeah.
Uh,
Now, and talking about depressing
Harden,
situations and horrible franchises, Ben Simmons seems to be backtracking on his mission to leave the 76ers. whether it be for money or you just couldn't find trade partners and he didn't want to sit out the entire season. What does this mean for Philly and Ben if Ben does come back?
Well, first of all, Sixers fans are going to boo the hell out of him
That's true.
if he comes back to the Sixers and decides, okay, you know what, he's never going to admit that he made a mistake because in his eyes he still wants to leave, and that's just a fact, right? He's
Yeah.
coming back not because he doesn't want to leave or he had a change of heart. That's not why he's coming back. He's coming back, like Sakib said, is either because of the money or because he doesn't want to sit out the entire season.
Yeah.
It's one of those two things. It is not because he had a change of heart.
Yeah.
So that being said, if he decides to come back for the Sixers, one, morale and team chemistry already has taken a hit. The Sixers plan to fly out to LA to meet up with Simmons, try and convince him to, change his mind and come back and run it over again. He didn't even want them to come see him. He refused to even see them. He told them, stay in Philly, don't bother, because y'all are not getting anywhere near me. That's literally what he said. Maybe not in those exact words, but just to paraphrase, those were his intentions. So team chemistry is already down. Morale is gonna be down. You literally avoided phone calls and text messages from all your teammates. So for you to just come back, Sixers fans are gonna boo you. Players may not even respect. But I'm pretty sure they lost all respect for you.
No,
Oh,
they did. I mean, what was it in the wrestling match in Philly? They were saying "F Ben
yeah,
Simmons,
and
F
an
Ben Simmons."
AEW
So
event, in Philly, and wrestling and basketball have pretty much nothing in common other than the fact that they're both considered sports.
yeah,
I'm
so
pretty sure like that is the only comparison that you're going to get is that they're both considered sports. And what I mean is basketball is a sport.
yeah,
Wrestling, I don't think is much of a sport, but
yeah.
it's considered a sport.
And in the midst of that, they were booing him. So yeah, no. In terms of my opinion, though, just the general feel of it, I mean, they're gonna get heat for it. It's gonna be really toxic, and that's another reason why I don't put them up there because if people don't realize how important fandom is and the support from the fans. When your own crowd is booing you, it's a mental aspect of it. You don't play well, and this team is already not good at shooting, and shooting takes a lot of concentration. And when you have fans booing you constantly, and this team and this organization who couldn't get the job done because there were a lot of offers, whether it be official or unofficial offers, that the Sixers refused. That, again, it's another mental aspect of it. If I was a Philly fan, I'd be tired of the organization a long time ago. So, and
And,
it's, go
and
ahead.
yeah, I don't mean to cut you off, but there was also reports that AI is not even being respected by the Sixers.
Yeah, so that's another tick on it. So,
Yeah, so that just puts more heat on the Sixers franchise in general. Like you refuse to get Ben Simmons out of there, and that's literally what they're doing. They're refusing to do it because they've had offers from the Timberwolves. D'Angelo Russell was included in the package deal. They refused it.
yeah.
They had an offer from the Pacers, Malcolm Brogdon, and a couple of other players. They refused that. Right. So you're getting some decent players in return for a player who won't shoot. Not saying can't, he just won't shoot.
Yeah.
And for all of you who have seen like those workout videos of him balling out in like those private gyms, the man can shoot. You've seen the man shoot.
Well, listen, it's just just a short response to that. Listen, if you cannot make shots in an open gym, you don't deserve to be in the NBA. Anyone who is an NBA player can make open shots in the gym. But when it comes down to the game, like you said, the man can't shoot if his life or his family's life or his loved one's life depended on it. The man cannot shoot out there, whether it be a mental thing, whether just is like, you know, he just doesn't attempt it, and he gives up the ball in clutch situations.
Yep.
Um, and it's not like other players where they give the ball out to a player who's in prime position to make the shot. The man hands the ball out because he does not want to get fouled. So where this puts the team, I don't even want to really get touch into the rotation, but they have Seth Curry out there. Danny Green plays the three. Harris plays the four, and Embiid plays the five.
I,
Their point guard is their point guard depth is terrible. So where does I mean you can put Milton in there, but I mean, will you get a true point guard? That's why when we talked outside the podcast, it was ridiculous. Why? I mean, I don't know if that Timberwolves offer was
legit.
a legit offer or official offer, but why wouldn't you want D'Lo on your team? That fills a hole right there
Yeah.
immediately.
Yeah. Obviously, you're not getting defense back,
Yeah.
but you can shop around the league or shop free agents. There's a couple of undrafted players, undrafted rookies.
And I'm sure there would have been free agents out there. I mean, the Lakers ate up most of them, and the Nets ate up most of them. But
Yeah, how dare you?
yeah, I'm sorry about that, but we had to get players somehow. But what I'm really trying to say is like, you don't get free agents to an organization that just refuses to be better than themselves. So, like,
Yeah, but I personally put this blame mainly on the team president, and as well as the GM, Daryl Morey, because I don't know what in God's name they be doing over there in Sixers. Maybe they have been going to the bar a couple of times or something around that. Daryl Morey's asking price of 4 first-round picks for a player who can't shoot free throws, won't shoot the ball, and the only thing that he does well is play defense.
and
That's
I mean, listen, that's a very impressive thing to do in today's NBA, where defense is a afterthought for most players. That's
right.
great. That's impressive, but
That's not all.
that's not the only thing. Like you've been saying,
Right.
it's not the only thing you have to do as a player. It's and like I said, this is not the old days where you can get away with that. You
Nope.
can't get away with that. No matter how good of a defensive player you are. It's great. That's a great side thing to add. Like, oh, this player is really good on defense. But that can't be your main bread and butter.
No, it cannot, sir. It cannot.
But yeah, no, I mean, we've said enough about the situation off air, and we've said it on air. This situation will not get better, and that's why I'm surprised that some of the fans have Philly so high, because this is a reoccurring situation they're going to have to constantly deal with, whether it be trade him in the off season, in the upcoming off season, or before the trade deadline. I personally don't see either or being beneficial, because their asking price is so high that they're not going to get offers. So eventually they will have to lower the standard, and they're not going to get the offers they would have from teams this prior offseason. So they really fumbled it.
And they're
I
still fumbling it.
and they will still continue to fumble it. Any last words, Andy?
On this theme, nope. No more words.
Yeah. And just the last topic is we NBA regular season returns October 19th. Lakers and Warriors. You want to touch on something before we go? Before we head off?
I'm just looking forward to this upcoming season, man. It's been a couple of months without basketball, a couple of months, after seeing the NBA finals. I know you didn't watch it. Your team was not anywhere close to it. Same can be said for my team, but we had a legit excuse. You didn't. So
yeah, well, I really nothing much to say about my Lakers right now. We're just dealing with a lot of things. We'll eventually get there. I'm as much as I would be hard pressed all the other years. I decided it's not good for my health to continually be stressed out over my team. So, especially for this beginning of the season, I'm gonna just
Oh
lay
no,
back.
no, Sakib. Like you gotta be stressed out, man, or else that just means you're not a basketball fan,
No,
man.
no. Listen, you can still be stressed out and not publicly say you're stressed out.
And what is basketball without feeling stressed out?
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
not
listen,
basketball, man.
we are if we can agree on anything, we are all in a toxic relationship with our fans, with the fans and the teams. So,
Um, I would say I don't like the fact that we didn't trade for Ben Simmons. Personally,
oh,
I
you wanted him.
I think it would have been a great fit, but I can see why they didn't do it, and the reason
If he's gonna fit anywhere, I think you would have fit with y'all because I
that is
mean,
not apparently you and I agree on the same thing, but we
you have the shooting, you don't need him to shoot.
right. But the thing is, Bob Myers and the presidents of the Warriors organization disagree with us. They feel, as many others feel, that Draymond Green and Ben Simmons play too similar, and it would not work out.
No, absolutely, it wouldn't work out. That's why you give him up, or right? Like, Miami is interested in Draymond right now. If
If they
if
are
you
willing to give Tyler Hero for Draymond Green, I would trade him in a heartbeat.
well, let's not go there. But I mean, at the end of the day,
And he can, you know, back off.
yeah, yeah. But at the end of the day, just her closing remarks. What do I see from the team, from the Lakers and Warriors matchup? It's going to be a good one. It's a good season opener, and I'm excited. This preseason needs to go away. I was never a big fan of preseason, especially the potential injuries that people might face. But I'm excited for this opener as a Lakers and Warriors podcast. We're going to have a lot to talk about. A lot of narratives will be thrown out there as well. So
Yeah, stay tuned, guys. We're
yeah,
back, and we're gonna be coming with a bunch of new content soon. So just stick around with us.
yeah, it was a pleasure being back. We will continue to put out content for you, but please make sure you hit the bell icon just to make sure that you don't miss anything.
And one last thing, this will be said at the end of all videos,
Oh
and
my
he
god.
knows where I'm going with this. The Lakers suck.
Yeah. Okay. Listen, I'm not even gonna say anything. Have a good night, people. Take care.